to build. What sort of changes have you seen in the last few years in the AM&T sector?
Well, AM&T, automatic monitoring and targeting, there have been many changes, of course, but the ones that really I think are the most important are a focus on compliance. The customer needs reporting which is focused on the compliance which they now have to achieve, and also a much broader availability of a user interface. So we've seen in the past many software packages in AM&T which are designed for the energy manager and fundamentally the energy manager alone. What we now see is a requirement for a much broader user interface. Everybody within the organisation potentially is a user, and I think that's the biggest difference.
So would you agree that the changes that you've seen have been driven by both legislation and by available technology?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Legislation has driven the development of the software particularly. Technology, whilst it's allowed cloud-based services and all that stuff which is now so integral to the business, technology's had a bigger role to play possibly in the hardware side. I mean, we can now essentially read meters more cheaply, more easily, across a much broader spectrum of properties and businesses. So the gathering of the data, whether it be direct reading of meters or whether it be a data stream coming in from somewhere else, all into a pot in the cloud, that's where the technologies come in, essentially to make the data more available and more cheaply available.
Would you say that providers such as E.ON, who've been fined recently for their failure to act quickly enough in installing this kind of technology, deserve all they get?
Well, that's a difficult one to judge, not knowing the details of their rollout remit, shall we say. But certainly from the point of view of a specialist organisation with the AM&T sector, a failure to embrace the available technology has left those organisations on the back foot, and there have been some that have done exactly that. The available technology fundamentally allows you to deliver a better service more cheaply to the end user. So if you don't do it, on your own head be it.
Where do you think the future will be, the next 5 years, 10 years in the AM&T sector?
Well, if I can, then obviously I won't be sitting here talking to you in 5 years' time. I'll be on a beach somewhere. But I think it's all about the battle for hearts and minds, really, Brian. And the availability of the software to a wider audience. And don't forget, this is an invited audience. The energy manager's paid to do a job. So you can give them a software product and say, just get on with it, mate, because that's your job. But if you want a wider audience to be involved, if you want to increase the awareness of the people in your business or your organisation, if you want to move towards genuine behavioural change, that's an invited audience. So you need an attractive user interface that speaks to them. And that's what the software side can do. Now, with a web-delivered product, properly tailored for an invited audience, there's a whole raft of work to be done and achievements within that wider sector of let's try and get everybody on board. Because make no mistake about it, whilst there are all sorts of issues in energy management, getting everybody on board is one of the biggest.
Your firm, Elcomponent, is a major player in this sector. What do you think you bring to the party?
Well, on the portable data logger side, I mean, we're a major provider in that sector, as you say. In fact, we claim to be market leaders. But data loggers really, electricity energy data loggers, they haven't changed much in the last 30 years in concept. But we started off with printer ribbons and paper rolls and all that stuff, and we thought that was great in the 1980s. And then we moved on to onboard memory and software and downloads that took 20 minutes while you had a cup of tea. And then, we moved on to USB, and the software got better and it got more focused. The latest breed of energy data loggers, now you plug in your memory stick, you pull it out, you've got your data. It's all about convenience, it's all about focused software, and we're right at the forefront of that. On the systems side, it's really just what I said earlier. We are working as hard as we can to broaden the appeal of the product. So if you broaden the appeal so that the sustainability guys can get involved, the energy guys can get involved, and they can sell that story more effectively to the people in their organisation through their AM&T software, then we're getting somewhere.